The alarms of the crashed research outpost still rang when the human named. Leon pushed aside a broken metal panel and stepped into the ruined corridor. Smoke filled the air, and every surface shone red from the emergency lights. He could not see much, but he could hear something small crying in the distance. It was a soft trembling sound that did not belong to a human child. Still, a child was a child in his mind, and he followed the sound without thinking twice. Leon was part of a small rescue team sent to check the remains of an alien structure found on a quiet moon near a trade route. Pirates had attacked it 2 nights ago. The research station had fallen silent. His team was supposed to sweep the area and report all life forms. Instead, Leon found himself separated after an unexpected floor collapse near the entrance. Now he walked alone through heavy smoke. Hoping his voice would reach whoever cried, he called out. His voice echoed. The crying stopped for a short moment and started again. Louder, he followed it until he reached a wide room lit by flickering lights. There in the corner, curled against the cold wall, was a small alien child. The child had pale silver skin and large blue eyes. Her arms were thin and covered with faint markings that looked like soft glowing trails. She trembled as she tried to hide behind a fallen metallic table when she saw Leon. She stepped back in fear. Leon raised both hands slowly. He spoke to her in a calm, steady voice. He did not know her language, but tone mattered more than words. He said he would not hurt her. He said he was here to help. He lowered himself to the floor. To appear smaller, a heavy noise from the ceiling made the child flinch and move closer to him. The room shook. Dust fell. A long crack spread across the ceiling as the metal structure groaned under the stress. Leon realized at once that the room was going to collapse. The child realized it too and froze. He ran forward and scooped her into his arms without thinking. He pressed her close and sprinted toward the nearest doorway. Just as the ceiling came down with a violent crash, they reached the hall. She clung to his jacket. His own back ached from the falling debris, but he stayed upright. He did not know her name or origin. He knew only that she was alive and needed protection, so he spoke again in calm words. The child stared at him with wide eyes. At last she gave a small nod and gripped his shirt like she had decided he was safe. The outpost's structure grew more unstable, and Leon moved fast. He dodged fallen beams and pushed aside doors that jammed. He kept the child held firmly in his arms. He had no clue if the pirates were still around. He did not care. He reached the exit hatch and stepped outside into the cold moon air. The sky above was dark, and the light from the broken outpost flickered behind him. He placed the child on the ground so he could check the area. She grabbed his hand and refused to let go, so he kept her close and walked slowly across the rocky surface. His radio crackled once. The signal was weak. He tried to speak to his team, but only static answered. He had to rely on his own direction sense. He headed toward the hill where the rescue ship had landed after a long walk across the moon's surface. He saw movement in the distance. A large alien ship descended from the sky. Its engines glowed white. Its design was different from anything he had seen. Smooth surfaces curved like layers of stone, shaped by water. Clearly, this was a vessel built by the same species as the child. The child let out a soft call. It sounded like her voice, lifted with hope. Leon squeezed her hand and kept walking. Several tall alien soldiers stepped out of the ship as it landed. Their armor shimmered with blue light. They looked serious and ready to fight. But when they saw the child, their expressions changed. At once one soldier rushed forward and knelt in front of her. She placed her hands gently on the child's shoulders. She looked up at Leon. Her gaze was sharp and protective. Before Leon could explain, shadows moved behind the soldiers as a figure approached, tall, graceful, and carrying herself with an aura of authority. Her skin had the same silver glow as the child. Her eyes held a deeper shade of blue. Every soldier lowered their head, When she came forward, the child broke free from Leon and ran toward the tall woman. The woman bent down and wrapped her arms tight around the child. She let out a breath that sounded like someone who had held fear inside for too long. The woman lifted the child and examined her. When she looked up, her eyes focused on Leon. He straightened himself. He expected suspicion. He expected a weapon pointed at him. Instead, the woman walked forward with the child still held close. She spoke in a strong but grateful tone. He did not understand her words, yet the emotion in her face was clear. Then she placed her hand softly on his chest. It was a gesture with clear meaning. Thanks, respect. Before he could react, the ground shook. A sound came from above. Leon looked up in time to see a pirate ship break through the clouds. This time its guns were aimed directly at the alien vessel. The alien soldiers moved at once. The tall woman gave an order and handed the child to one of the guards. Then she grabbed Leon's arm and pulled him behind her ships. Protective shield energy bolts rained down. The shield shuddered. Leon could see the pirates preparing for another attack. Tall woman pointed at him. She spoke quickly to her soldiers. Then she gave him a firm look. She wanted him to stay protected. She stepped forward, weapon in hand. Her stance showed she was ready to defend her people. Leon knew he could not stand idle. He reached for a dropped alien rifle on the ground. He checked its shape and position of the trigger. He had seen similar alien tech before and trusted his instincts. When the next wave of bolts fired, he joined the soldiers behind the shield. The tall woman gave him a quick look, not of shock, not of fear, but of recognition, as if she had already decided he belonged in the line with her. Pirates fell fast under the combined strength of alien weapons and Leon's fire. When the last ship retreated into the sky, the field fell silent. The breeze across the moon's surface carried thin trails of dust. Woman walked to Leon. Her expression softened. She placed her palms together and moved them to her forehead, a sign that he understood meant respect. Then she touched his arm gently. The child ran toward him again. She wrapped her arms around his leg. She whispered something. The woman noticed. She looked surprised. Leon did not know the words, but every soldier around them reacted. Some stepped back, some lowered their heads. Woman knelt and lifted her child. She asked something softly. The child nodded and pointed at Leon. The woman's eyes widened for a moment. Then something changed. In her gaze, warmth, recognition, possession, as if she believed this human had become part of her world. The soldiers backed away. The air grew still. The woman walked closer to him again. This time she stood very near. Her presence felt steady and calm. She said something in her language. Then she placed her hand over his heart. A simple gesture, yet deep with meaning. Line felt the message without needing a translator. You protected what is mine. Now I protect you. She signaled her guards. They opened the ship door. She gestured for Leon to follow. He hesitated only for a moment. Then he stepped inside. The ship interior was bright and warm. Soft lights lit the hallway. The child stayed near his leg. As they walked, the woman stayed beside him, watching him with a calm expression. A translator unit was brought. When activated, her voice changed into words he could understand. She introduced herself as Nira, leader of her outpost and mother of the child named Lysa. Her tone held quiet pride. She listened as he explained how he found her daughter and protected her. He told everything with simple words. He described how he shielded Lysa from the falling ceiling. He described the walk through smoke. He described how she held his shirt and trusted him. Nira listened carefully. When he finished, she stepped closer. Her eyes softened in a way he had not expected from a leader of her rank. She said Lysa had spoken her first words after being rescued. Nira said those words were an old phrase in their culture, a phrase a child spoke only to someone they trusted with their life. She explained it meant, he is mine to keep. Nearly on, felt warmth rise in his chest. He had never thought a small act of protection would lead to such strong meaning. He looked down at Lysa. She smiled at him with complete trust. Nira placed her hand on his arm and told him that in her culture, when a child claimed someone with those words, the entire family accepted that person as part of their circle. In this case, her circle. Her voice was calm, but steady. She was not asking. She was stating a truth of her people. Leon tried to speak, but Nira stepped closer, stopping him with a soft gesture. She said he had risked his life for Lysa. He had earned a place near them. Near her, the ship traveled back to their home world. During the journey, Nira stayed close to Leon, guiding him through their customs and showing him the different parts of the vessel. Lysa followed both of them everywhere. The child would hold his hand when they walked. Nira would often glance at him with a look that held gratitude and something deeper. When they landed on their world, crowds gathered to meet their leader. Whispers spread as they saw Leon step out beside her. Nira held Lysa with one arm. With her other hand, she rested her palm lightly on Leon's back as she guided him forward. It was a gesture their people understood. Well, a gesture that said, "He stands with us." Their world was bright and full of soft colors. The skies held drifting silver clouds. Tall structures rose like carved stone shaped by wind. Nira guided him through the city. Lysa never left his side. When they reached the main hall of the Great Council, leaders from different regions stood waiting near a step.